In the middle of the vast Pacific Ocean lies the tiny coral atoll of Bikini, because there had been but 3 exploded, none at sea. In this 20th century world of atomic power, man is fully aware that he cannot assume an attitude of indifference to this new elemental force is an array of almost every type of naval vessel used in the past war. Here is the venerable old carrier Saratoga, the battleship Pennsylvania, flagship of World War I. USS Nevada was designated the target ship and strategically placed. Being painted white topside would make her easier to spot from the air. This is the heavy cruiser Pensacola, the heavy cruiser Salt Lake City, and the German heavy cruiser Prince Eugen, the Jap battleship Nagato. The light carrier USS Independence can be seen on the left, the submarine Skate, attack transports, freight and cargo ships, LCIs, LCMs. Tied to the decks of the ships in Bikini Lagoon are samples of mechanical equipment and articles of every type and description. Everything from canned milk to tanks will be subjected to the blast. Different animals have been placed aboard the ships to substitute for military personnel. Some were shaved in order that the effects of heat and radiation on their skins could be observed and the results applied to the design of protective clothing.
Operation Crossroads has begun.
Cover your eyes. Now, bomb away.
On the water, you can see the shock wave coming toward the camera. Watch those palm trees in the foreground. There is the ball of fire, growing and rising above the clouds and smoke of the explosion. Although obscured during the first few seconds, the ball of fire is still visibly red hot. The maximum temperature reached at the center of this ball, shortly after detonation, exceeds even the temperature of the sun. The mushroom cloud gains altitude with amazing speed. In less than a minute, it has reached a point 1 mile above the Earth. Although a beautiful sight, this swirling, boiling mushroom cloud is certain death to any living thing which approaches too close to its edge, reached by the previous Nagasaki cloud. However, at Bikini, the atomic cloud pushed itself to approximately 40,000 feet in a period of 10 minutes and stopped there. Wave is created as the air rushes back to the point of burst to fill the vacuum created there.
The epicenter of the detonation of the bomb was approximately 650 yards from the USS Nevada. We see the Nevada, Nagato, Saratoga, troop transports, freight and cargo ships, and other vessels in the array as the camera sweeps across the target fleet. This ship, the Japanese battleship Nagato, was about 850 yards from the epicenter. Damage was limited to topside fixtures and superstructure, which were considerably battered and broken. Japanese light cruiser Sakawa was located about 150 yards from the epicenter of the bomb burst. This cruiser was heavily damaged topside, and the hull ruptured aft, causing her to slowly flood. Although the Sakawa was commissioned only 18 months ago, she is considered by the Japanese to be a victory model and is not of modern construction. The hull, for example, was entirely riveted. Her superstructure, aft of amidships and above the main deck, was completely demolished. She capsized to port and sank the day following the bomb burst. This ship, the USS Nevada, was about 650 yards from the epicenter. These pictures were taken from the side nearest the blast and show the superstructure wreckage. The paint on this side was scorched, but did not burn. The Salt Lake City and the Independence. The smoke from the light carrier Independence is from burning torpedo warheads in the torpedo stowage on the hangar deck. This ship, the USS Pennsylvania, was about 1,800 yards from the epicenter of the bomb blast. Wreckage was slight and limited to minor superstructure damage. The fire burning amidships was in supply samples stowed on this deck and was not of a serious nature. In the background, a salvaged tug is seen fighting a small fire on the heavy cruiser Salt Lake City. This ship, the USS Saratoga, was about 2,600 yards from the epicenter. The only damage sustained was a small fire topside. This is the USS Pennsylvania again, after the fire had been extinguished. This view shows her starboard side, which was away from the blast, and which sustained topside damage aft. This view shows a portion of the unarmored deck aft, which was pushed down by the explosion. Aircraft and quartermaster supplies placed on this deck were considerably damaged. This ship, the USS Arkansas, was about 650 yards from the epicenter and sustained extensive damage to topside fixtures and superstructure. The Prince Eugen was about 1,700 yards from the epicenter. This ship sustained minor topside damage only. This is the light carrier Independence, which was about 600 yards from the epicenter. This ship was severely damaged by the primary blast action of the bomb. The blast struck the Independence on the port side, blew in the light side plating between the hangar and flight decks, and pushed up the center of the flight deck like a rooftop. Gun sponsons and guns on the port side were severely damaged. The watertight integrity of the hull remained intact. No fires occurred except among the torpedoes on the hangar deck aft. Was light blister shell plating and became deeply fluted between longitudinal frames as a result of the bomb burst. The submarine skate was located about 300 yards from the epicenter. The light fixtures, periscopes, and superstructure were demolished, but the pressure hull and conning tower remained intact, and interior machinery was undamaged. Of the 84 target vessels, 40 ships were placed within 1 mile of the bomb detonation point, and 20 ships were placed within 1/2 mile. The obsolete Arkansas carrier Saratoga were secured fore and aft by fixed moorings, presenting their full length to the explosion in order that maximum damage would be ensured. The bathysphere carrying the atomic bomb was lowered into the sea. The bomb was held at the desired depth until detonation by means of specially designed winches.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
These pictures of the ascending water column show the expanding cloud of spray at the base of the column moving outward and enveloping the ships in the target array. Great quantities of radioactive water from the column descended upon the decks of the nearby vessels, and ship hulls a mile away were drenched by the wall of foaming water. Still another view of the explosion, recorded from a photographic tower on Bikini, shows the column composed of millions of tons of water rising at an initial rate exceeding the speed of sound. The water and spray from the explosion will fall for several minutes. Here again is an excellent photographic portrayal of the boiling, foaming wall of water engulfing the ships in the foreground. This highly lethal spray was intensely radioactive. Visible on the surface of Bikini Lagoon is an oil slick, leaking from ruptured oil tanks, principally from the battleship Arkansas. 3 major ships were sunk. The Arkansas immediately, the aircraft carrier Saratoga after 7.5 hours, and the Japanese battleship Nagato after 5 days. Several small craft were also sunk. Shown here is the Japanese battleship Nagato, which flooded and capsized 5 days after the blast. The light carrier Independence sustained severe superstructure damage in Test Able, and no additional apparent topside damage was visible after Test Baker. The heavy cruiser Salt Lake City. The destroyer Hughes, in sinking condition, was beached. The Saratoga sustained heavy underwater hull damage and listed badly. Other ships surviving the Baker Day blast were the submarine Skate, the submarine Pilotfish, the heavy cruiser Pensacola. The Saratoga, taking on more and more water, slowly sinks stern first. The operation of Joint Army-Navy Task Force 1 in conducting the tests has set a pattern for close, effective cooperation of the armed services and civilian scientists in the planning and execution of this highly technical operation.